Welcome, friends. Good evening to another live reality games podcast. We are here today to start another podcast series on a brand new Survivor event for us to talk about. We are here to talk about Survivor UVA Season 4 Wahoo Warriors. My name is Kirk, Adventure Coco Pele. You've seen me before, but I have three special guests with us. With me today, as an eye of the audience, is Trevor, the host of Survivor CNU, another college survivor. Trevor, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, pretty well. Excited to talk about this episode. A lot of fun.
And with us as well are two contestants from this season. Quinn, how are you doing?
I'm doing better than I was when you last saw me, I guess.
Fair enough, and we'll get into that. And Margaret as well, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. So we're going to dive right into this. So I just found out that Trevor, you have a little connection, that Survivor CNU has a connection with this college survivor. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the first season that we did, so my brother and I founded it in the spring of 2019. So we had only one other person helping us who had a camera. His name was Varun. And after the first season, my brother graduated, and Varun had transferred to UVA, and now he is on the production crew for Survivor at UVA, and that's kind of how he introduced me to Genki, and now I'm kind of involved with Survivor at UVA. So it's a nice little fun connection there.
And for the viewers that don't know, Genki Hall is the host of this particular series. Genki, you may have also seen play as a contestant in Surviving Reelfoot just about a couple of summers ago. And that was a really great live feed to watch. We always like to start off with kind of finding out how you guys got cast, because for people who are fans of the show and want to play in these live games, they want to know, how do we find out about this? So Quinn, what's your story? How did you get cast? Are you a Survivor fan? What's your background?
Yeah, so I'm a Survivor fan. So actually, I got cast through one of my good friends from college, Austin Zavacki, who was on the production team at Survivor UVA. We met my first year of college. So I just graduated. So that would be like 5 years ago. And we met playing poker, actually. And then he said he was a big fan of Survivor. And I said, oh, well, I also watch the show. And, we watched a few episodes together. And then he said, well, hey, there's this, organization. Yeah, this is a few years later, but there's this organization, and I think you'd make a really good contestant. And I was like, oh, well, I'll come audition for it. And I made the cut, and that was that.
Fantastic. That's so poker and Survivor, those are very interrelatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're both poker people, and we're both Survivor people. So I don't know.
Awesome. Margaret, how did you get cast?
I actually just saw Survivor at UVA for the first time at our club fair. So yeah, it was my first semester, first year. So I was just looking for things to be involved in. And so I saw this stand, at our club fair. And I hadn't been really keeping up with Survivor, the CBS show, too much at that point, but I used to be a super big fan when I was younger. So I went up and put my email down and interviewed. But my claim to fame, I guess, that I used in my interview was I used to be such a big fan that I had a Survivor fan account on Instagram, basically, in high school, that my best friend and I made and managed because we were so into it. So that was something I brought up in my interview. So I think that might have given me an edge because they knew I was into it.
One of the cool things we see in these live games is they cast so many gamers that the game is exciting from the get-go because they're not trying to figure it out all the time. And we see this more and more with the college survivor. It's competitive. Let's get right into it. Trevor, the beginning of the episode, I was completely blindsided because Genki starts off and it says, okay, guys, you're going to be one team. Ladies, you're another team. and you're going to race up this hill. And I'm thinking, this is not fair.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Survivor Gabon beginning where they had to run up the hill, and I had no clue what was going on. I thought it was a nice little twist to start the game, and I also was like, oh, I guess we're doing guys versus girls. I guess these are just the tribes now. And then he said, all right, no, schoolyard pick. And I was like, oh, okay. I was just all over the place.
I know. And then the tribe colors are both blue and pink, and you can go off of like there are stereotypes in the world, and like I instantly just fell into that stereotype. And I was riveted because I'm like, I've been waiting to see. In live games, it's very difficult to cast even genders. But it seems like in the college casting environment, there's just a bigger casting pool, more interest. And so I was actually super stoked to see like an all-female tribe like dominate. So like it starts off, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And then it's like schoolyard pick. And I'm like feeling terrible for both Kevin and you, Margaret. At first, I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't have immunity. It's not for anything like that. So like, Margaret, what was your take like after you had just raced up that hill? Suddenly you're given all this power. It's the start of the game. Like, what are you thinking?
Well, I was like super overwhelmed because like something that didn't appear in the episode was I was the last one to get there basically. Basically there was like a whole miscommunication about timing and everything. So I was there super late. So I hadn't talked to anybody, like literally had not even said hi to people basically. And so once I got to the top and I had to pick someone, I just absolutely had no idea. Like it was basically a random pick. So it was kind of like a lot happening at once.
And you went with like your gut instinct. It seems to be a good vibe. I mean, don't spoil anything, but this way the first episode is edited, it's really exciting. You pick Ryan A, who ends up being called Little Ryan. I like to go with Lil, like if his rapper name would be Lil Ryan. I'm all about that. So that's what I'm calling him. Lil Ryan picks Ellie, who picks Mario, who picks Aaron, who picks Hunter, who then picks Quinn. And we see another connection kind of happen there. So Quinn, tell me about your experience in the schoolyard pick.
Well, I wasn't expecting to be one of the early picks personally. I definitely was one of the slower people getting up that hill. And I'm not the most physically built person in the world. So, I think looking at me, you might see, you might think, oh, well, they're not going to be the best pick for, these physical types of challenges. But, I am pretty good at puzzles. I'm good at, things like that. So I hoped, I hope I don't get picked last. But, you never know what's going to happen. Hunter and I had a pretty good rapport going on in the time before we started the challenge. And so I saw him and I was like, oh, I hope he's going to pick me because it seems like we're getting along decently well. And he did. So that was nice.
So how much time did you have at the start when you guys got to meet before the first challenge started?
It must have been not particularly long, 20 minutes, 15
okay.
Maybe. Introduce yourself to the people nearby, say hello, really nothing beyond just a little introduction, but we seem to, have a little bit of a link.
Then again, to give context to the viewers, how long ago was this filmed?
So this was filmed, this would have been the beginning of my third year, so 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. That's a kind of a normal rollout for these LRGs for those that wonder why does so much time come out? Because editing is hard. It takes forever. It's the most beautiful part of the process besides playing, but it takes forever. So okay, so we get the breakdown of the tribes. So the other tribe, Blue, is Kevin. It starts with Kevin, picks Hannah, picks Max, picks Sarah, picks Ryan B, to Lauren, to Ethan, to Katie, to, is it Tommy? Is that the name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. It's so hard in the first episode. I apologize to all the viewers. There's so much to break down, so many names. and they're the Chomanics tribe. And then I'm super confused. You guys are going to have to explain this, Margaret. Your tribe's called Maui, but not called Maui? Wami? I'm so confused.
It's actually Waim. Yeah, we were kind of confused too. I think like someone just said it wrong, so we all started saying it wrong basically. But I think after this episode, it's pretty much clarified that it's Waim. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. I still couldn't pronounce it at first. I was like, wait, what is it? So it's Waim and Chomanics. That does sound like a yogurt. I agree with that tribe. So you meet up. It's like an intense first episode. So there you guys are. You're talking. You're broken up into genders, and then you have to compete against each other for what you don't even know. And then you get there. You break into another team, and then Genki's like, "It's time for immunity." I mean, I don't know how you were feeling, Trevor, but I was like, this is so much right at the start of the game. As a player, I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, I was just trying to get down the names, and I was taking notes during the episode. And in fairness to you, Quinn, you were wearing pajamas while trying to run up this hill, so I credit to you for even getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed a little overwhelming as a viewer, but it was like good overwhelming where like there's a bunch of twists, so that it's just trying to bring something new to the game. So I couldn't imagine being a player trying to understand like who's even on my tribe anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so random. So then you guys go to a pretty epic first challenge. I was impressed. Like, as a host, I'm definitely stealing some of these ideas. Like, so the first thing is 5 people have to don't touch the lava. So you have a few things. You have to cross this area, and then it looks like it's brutally tough. You have to carry people on your back and forth. I don't know how many times it was. And then you have to solve a 12-letter word, which is not necessarily easy, although it seemed like they solved it pretty quick. So, Margaret, I know this is taking you back a couple of years, but we can break it down to everybody. You guys don't win. What was the ultimate downfall in that challenge?
I mean, it was obviously Big Ryan's strength. Like he was carrying like 2 people. So that was really crazy just watching as we were falling behind, like as this just absolute tank was like basically steamrolling us in the challenge. So yeah.
Like, Quinn, you're a huge Survivor fan. Do you think and you're unspoiled. Do you think that is necessarily a great move to just expose that in like modern Survivor?
I mean, I think when you're as big as he is, it's already been exposed. So
Okay.
You might as well take advantage of it.
You just broke up there a little bit, but we'll get back to that for sure. So yeah, it was
threat.
really interesting.
But can you hear me? Okay. Being big can be a huge post-merge threat, obviously, as we've seen so many times on the televised show. But yeah, I think it was a good move, getting yourself that first immunity, giving yourself another week to even just bond with your tribe mates, where these people don't know each other at all yet. So I definitely think it was a good move.
I'm curious, how long did you have between the challenge and tribal council?
I don't remember exactly what that one was, but in general, it was probably like around 3 days, I would say was like the average,
Okay.
but sometimes
right.
more or less. I feel like that one was around like 3 or 4 days.
So not a lot of time. If you know each other, you're already taking, I think classes are going on. People have jobs too. That's the crazy thing about College Survivor that I don't think all of the viewers always understand, is that these players aren't just isolated in the woods, which is its own game. It's its own thing. College Survivor, you are balancing and juggling constantly. And it's a question of how much do you want your class to suffer because you can strategize more, kind of, in some ways. So I think a person that can balance it all and stay on the honor roll, That's pretty amazing. um, so it looks like Quinn is back with us.
I wasn't able to hear you for a minute, so I refreshed, and apparently my camera decided to stop working.
Well, that's lovely. This is also a podcast too, so it's really no problem. None
Well,
of them
great.
will ever see our faces anyway. So
Great. Perfect.
we kind of just got through the challenge, and the word. What was the word again? It was invulnerable. Am I correct?
Well, our tribe never made it there.
I think I missed the word in my notes.
Invulnerable. It seems like
that sounds right.
It seems like a kind of tricky word, but I thought the irony of this whole thing, Quinn, is that that's a 12-letter word, and so is your bananagrams frictionless.
Did I mention that? I must have. Yeah.
Yes, it was
I am good at I am really good at like Scrabble bananagrams. I was I was excited to get a word puzzle because I was a linguistics major in college as well. Not that means that you're sorting around letters necessarily, but I'm a language minded person, so it was a little sad for me not to be able to actually get to my part of the challenge, but it's what
that's
happens
when 100%. That's exactly how I feel. Like, I wanted to see you, like, once you said frictionless, I was like, oh, she would have killed it. That's a 12-letter word.
I am, yeah. I have played a lot of Scrabble in my life, things like that. I'm a big fan of word games. So yeah, I think I would have done very well at that puzzle. But when you have someone who's going at twice the speed as some of the other carriers, not to fault our own carriers, I think they were doing great. But it's when you have someone that big, it's really hard to keep up. So.
Trevor, was there anything that stuck out during that opening challenge to you that was notable to talk about?
I was very confused what the strategy was at the end, where it was just Peyton left, and Ryan and Mario decided to carry her at the same time. I thought that I didn't think it made sense unless there was a specific rule that was like, in order to go back, you have to be carrying someone. Like, I just felt like, either one should just carry and then the other one should just run. Because I felt like that took up a lot of time and it just did not look comfortable for any of the three of them.
So that's how I felt too, but I also just loved that moment of Peyton, like in the rain, like super like, why am I picked last? And then she awkwardly like goes off camera, kind of showcasing a little bit of, I think, a quirky personality that's under that facade. And I'm like, oh, I'm digging the Peyton. I'm digging the Peyton right now. Mm-hmm. In episode 1, I dig Peyton. We'll find out in episode 2 how this changes, but I don't know. I was feeling her.
Yeah, I felt like there was that moment. We didn't really see her until much later in the episode when she was like having the one-on-one conversation with Aaron, and then that's when the whole entire girls alliance plus Hunter talks started coming in. So I honestly just forgot about her until that moment, because it was just always about the 6 on the Wahoo tribe.
Yeah, so after that was really interesting. Oh, Quinn's back. I have to remember I'm a moderator, and I have to re-add people to the chat.
I'm sorry, my internet connection isn't the greatest at my house, so sometimes it poops out. But
fair enough. So okay, so yeah, let's get into strategy. So we've covered really the beginning of the preface to this game, the prologue, setting the tribes, the challenge. Wahoo loses. They have to go to tribal council in a few days. And right away, I don't know if this is your move, Quinn, but you're part of it, and you decide to go to the dining hall. I want to talk about this choice and also the choices of other people on your tribe not going. What's your take? What's your memory of this experience?
Well, my immediate thought was that, like we've been saying, we only just met each other. And so my immediate thought was, you're less likely to vote someone that you know compared to someone that you don't know, right? So if there's someone who shows up to tribal council a week later and no one has, met with them or anything, I think they're a lot easier to vote out than someone that you're friends with. So my first thought was to try to make some friends on the tribe. And so we went to the dining hall, which I normally would avoid due to quality of food. But, you got to do what you got to do, wine and dine. So I went out and I just, my first thought was, try to, make some connections, make it harder for people to vote you out, which obviously ended up not working. But I don't regret that part of my strategy.
Not at all. That you have the right instincts. We could see it as audience members. It's just it's sometimes other people's choices and other people's relationships with you that I think we'll get into in just a little bit. So then I can't remember if it's the same dining hall experience, but I remember, Margaret, you get a very special text message, and that's just crazy to think. I'm a legit like in the woods LRG Survivor player. Like I've only played those experiences. So to think you get an idol clue like via text message to me is like so awesome.
That's so funny. Yeah. I was like also at that point, I remember like we walked back from the dining hall, then I had that conversation with Mario and Ryan, and then I realized I had that text. So I had to like awkwardly kind of branch off from the group too and like go back to where the challenge was, like without them knowing. I was like not going back to my dorm basically.
Oh, that's so fantastic that you just like snuck off, got it. And so essentially there was, to the viewers who haven't watched it, you need to watch this. Episode 2 is coming out in just a little bit, but Margaret gets half an idol and help me out here. Kevin, yes. The two that reached the top first. So there was an advantage. The best part, what a nice production team, is they didn't expose you to the advantage. They gave it secretly to the players to start them off on the right foot, which I think is a very cool thing to do. But a question I have for you, Margaret, as this is different than other survivors, is there allowed cross-tribal talking? Can you talk to the other teams?
Yes. Yeah. They put no limits on us for like talking to other tribes. Yeah.
So it seems, I would be guessing, this is just the player in me, that there's probably some other alliances or groupings starting to form across lines than we're seeing for editing or whatever reasons. But that would be my hunch, Trevor. You also host a college survivor. Do you see that a lot of cross-tribal interactions?
Yeah, I do. I also see it where if if two people know each other and they're on different tribes, then they will often compare notes, and then it's kind of hard to like, you can edit that into it or not, but I will say as a host, it's impossible for us to say like you can't talk to the other tribe. We're just gonna say okay. We can't say you can't talk to anyone because it's college and you kind of can do whatever you want. So I would be surprised if there were no cross-tribal talks. And Margaret, you even said that Kevin was sketching you out because he was like texting. He was trying to find information about your tribe or something along those lines. Was he like texting like people on your tribe asking like what was going on or what was going on there?
I don't quite remember, but I do know that Kevin and I did have a text conversation, and like you're saying, it's kind of hard to edit all that in, especially when it is just over text, just like a few messages here and there. But he did. I remember like that first week kind of fished for some information, like, so who are you talking to? Like, what's going on over there? And I think that kind of is like at the beginning, that kind of is like all that it amounts to, just like trying to kind of fact check, like you were saying, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
It also seems like who was it? Hunter did a lot of texting in the first few days. Maybe a little bit too much texting, Quinn? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he and I definitely texted a decent amount because, like I said, he was definitely the person who I felt I could rely on the most out of the group. and we definitely texted back and forth quite a bit. So yeah. But I think, in my experience, and also obviously Hunter was the one person not to vote for me in the end, which I appreciate. That the texting too much definitely can be a risk, particularly because you don't know exactly how normally when you're in a in-person group, you can see, oh, these two people are going off and talking with each other, maybe they're sharing secrets. But with your phone, you could be texting anyone, right? So really everyone has a secret line of communication to everyone else on the tribe. So it's a lot harder to contain your group and say, like, okay, we're not going to talk to this person and try to scheme with them, right? We're going to, we're voting this person out and that's it. So yeah, I think that texting can be dangerous in that way.
I would if this was 20 years ago when I was in college, I would so want to be with somebody and be like constantly scoping out their cell phone if they weren't there. Like, can I see your text? Like, I'm just curious, Trevor, is that a strategy? Do people try to like see some of these private messages? Because I would want to do that.
I haven't seen specifically like looking at messages. I have seen sometimes like potentially sending messages. It's more so people will just compare notes talking about texts. Like, oh, did this person text you? Oh, they also texted me. Like kind of how we saw with when Ryan and Andy were talking about how like Hunter texted them both, and Hunter texted you, Margaret. Like Hunter was texting everyone. That's more so like normally what happens when it comes to texting.
That makes sense. And how much easier would it be just to screenshot and then you can just compare notes that way? That makes more sense. Yeah. Although there's somebody out there, there's some player that will be the Russell Hantz of cell phones and will scope out text messages just for me for a future podcast. Whoever's out there, you junior or senior in high school, you're ready to go to college, please be that player someday just for me. I'll make an episode just for you. Okay. Anyways, so Trevor, what are some other moments that kind of stick out to you with strategy talk? Let's focus still on Waim.
On Waim, one trio I actually really like is the Mario, Margaret, little Ryan trio. I think that. I think well, I guess you three. I guess you and Mario and Ryan really understand the game well enough to know that like this 6-person alliance it's way too easy of a first vote to just say like, all right, it's Peyton, and just like not talk for the rest of the time, especially when you have someone like Hunter on the tribe who's going to play at 100 miles an hour from the get-go. So I really like this trio. I think all three are really good players, and I'm excited to see what they do. I think they're in control of this tribe. I mean, I did my own like miniature power rankings of each tribe, and I mean those are the top 3 for me.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah, I'm so curious. I don't know if we can do a screen share of your power rankings, but that would be really cool to do. I don't know if you have access to that. I think it's just me, but maybe next time, Trevor, we need to plan this out. That's awesome.
Okay.
Do you just for some of the super fans like me, do you want to read through your power rankings?
Sure. So I find it hard to do like total, but combining the tribes, I like doing it like tribe by tribe.
Perfect. Yeah.
I will admit, I was making my power rankings before tribal started, and I had Quinn on there because I was very certain that Quinn was going to stay.
I was too. Bud.
Me too.
We're all on the same page here. So on Waim, I have Hunter 8, but I feel like Hunter could easily. I don't know. I just don't know how well damage control Hunter can do. To try to like mend fences, and I also just don't know how close. I don't know how close the girls are with the girls minus Margaret are with the rest of the guys. I have 7 as Peyton, 6 as Aaron, 5 as Ellie, because people just seem to like her, and she's not really talked about much. I have 4 as Andy, And then 3, I have Mario, with 2 being Ryan, just because we've seen Ryan talking and making connections with Andy, and that's some kind of connection. And 1, if I combine the 1 overall, is definitely Margaret. So I was very excited that she was going to be on this, because I think she's easily in the best spot right now.
Absolutely. I mean, with the half idol, I'm so curious there with those text messages. I'm sure you and Kevin, I mean, that's the hardest thing to think about. Like, what do you do? Margaret, what do you do with a half idol without spoiling anything at the start of the game? I mean, what's going on in your head? Do you just go, I can't do anything with it? Or do you try to start building something with your competitor, essentially?
I feel like that was just honestly not really too much on the forefront of my mind for that vote, because like the setting of just trying to play Survivor with just like a group of people I didn't know at all, like was so overwhelming, and to make sure I wasn't on the outs and I knew what was happening was like taking up so much mental energy that the half idol, I was like, hopefully down the road, like at that point I was thinking, hopefully down the road, Kevin and I can continue to kind of talk, build a connection, and then maybe that'll be useful later. So that was kind of like what was on my mind at the time, but I wasn't really gaming it too hard because there was just so much else happening.
That's true. It seems like people who overextended their hand in the first round kind of maybe had some eyes looking more towards them. So that's probably a good instinct. But it seems like everybody was mentioning how 6 people were too big. Quinn, didn't you even say that at one point that a 6-person alliance is too much?
If you told me I said it, I'd believe that I said it. I definitely think, yeah, six is a lot. You're gonna like a 6-person alliance can break down into 3 and 3 or 4 and 2 or 5 and 1, and then you still have the control. If you have 5 people at this point, 9 people, you have control of the vote, right? So I definitely think, a 6-person alliance, it's gonna collapse in on itself. It has to, right?
Yeah, quickly, perhaps, depending on how you win
Yeah,
challenges.
of course. And I think we saw it happen this episode, really. But
there was so much confusion and change ups, it seemed like. One of the interesting things that stuck out to me, Trevor and Margaret, for all of you, I think you were all there. So I think it's right when Andy is trying to split the vote, which was really interesting. And I'm like, he's super worried about an idol. I mean, that's fair. Any player can be scared. But I'm like, I would have been thinking ulterior motives, because it just seems so early to split the vote. But then the thing that really stuck out to me, I have like arrows. Hunter, Margaret, you're a great player, but Hunter read you. Like read you like a book, and you didn't do a thing. You were like and what I mean, that was crazy. Trevor, what was your take when he like basically had the gut instinct that she had something?
I mean, I think I don't know. I'm pretty sure Genki said it was an advantage. And I might misremember. I thought he asked her if she had an idol clue, and then she said no. Which, I mean, it's pretty fair for Hunter to assume that it's some sort of idol thing. But yeah, I don't. If I'm Margaret, I don't even know what I said. I think I just said like, I mean, no. I probably would say the same thing. Like, no, it's not. I mean, I don't know what you want from me. It showed how much of a super fan Hunter really is to understand that it's something related to an idol, definitely.
And this is how duped I am. I thought the advantage was being the first to pick the team. Like, I would have been so slow and completely not at the same pace of anybody else in the game. Like, Hunter would have been steps ahead of me, because I would have been like, oh, that was the advantage. They got first pick. So clearly that's not the case. Okay.
That's what I thought. I totally did not think there was an idol in play yet at this point in the game. I thought it's too early. It's too early, I thought. So
yeah, you said that too, Quinn. I would have went with that same instinct. I would have been like, it's too early. It's not going to be introduced. There was already an advantage. We had a schoolyard pick. That was the twist. End of story. Nope. So let's see. Is there anything to say? We didn't get a lot from Chobani.
Chomani.
Shomanique, yeah.
That's right. Thanks.
Sorry about that again. My internet's bad. But
It's fair. It's all good. So, but we do get some moments. Is there anything that stuck out to you, Trevor, or we can go into your power rankings at least as well?
I have an all caps. If I have something in all caps, that usually means I don't know what the people are thinking. So there was the scene where Ethan, Lauren, Hannah, and Kevin are walking, and then they cut to I don't know where they might have been in the dining hall, but they're at a table, and they brought in Katie as their fifth, and then they basically just like essentially just told Katie like you're the fifth in this 4-person alliance. And I've seen all of every Survivor season. I've seen Big Brother. I've seen shows like this. This is just very very. I just don't understand how you can let someone know that they're the fifth, because what Katie did is what the right thing to do is she went to Tommy, and now there were some seeds planted to potentially vote Sarah off first, but then go against that big alliance. So this is why it's never good to tell someone that either they're going home or they're at the bottom of the alliance, because they're gonna say they're gonna think like an individual and play for themselves.
And it seems so early because there's so much game ahead of them. They could win the next challenge. To even like create a totem pole at this point just seems such a cringy idea to expose yourself. And I don't know if it was Margaret who said it, like just somebody wasn't being secretive enough. Was it Hunter? And I think that's my instinct for the other tribe is maybe they're going to get themselves in trouble for kind of putting the cart before the horse, talking about eliminations too early.
Right. I actually saw a lot of similarities between the style of play between Kevin and Hunter, where they're both playing very, very fast. I think we saw more Hunter just because he was going to tribal. But I think if Chomani goes to tribal council next, I think we could potentially see Kevin play similarly to Hunter.
Interesting. I have a question for you guys because I missed it. The episode's called Vibes Don't Lie. Who said that?
It was Mario who said it at our tribal council.
Oh,
yeah, it was. I remembered that actually. That was a good line.
Hence the quote there at the bottom of your screen. Okay, fair enough. I do think a subtitle of this episode should be called Frictionless, just for you, Quinn. I think that's a great title as well. So that could be a future subtitle if they want to re-edit the comments.
All right. I'd love to have it titled after me, that would be great.
It was such a great flex when you said, yeah, it was frictionless. Pretty good. Pretty cool.
So good. And then, I mean, obviously you also see Lil Ryan's reaction to it, which is he can't handle the flex. I mean, it was great. It was like, just great comedy.
I think one of the things that I learned from playing this is like, your personality can change so much when you're in this situation where you have to try to, you have to be bold and you have to be, daring. So like, that just sounds so out of character for me to be like, flexing on myself, but you got to do it in these games because it's a game, right? It's you got to be Machiavellian, you got to be ruthless, and you got to show why you're valuable. So
did we lose Kirk?
I think we might have.
Okay, I thought we lost.
I thought that we lost me because
I thought so too.
That makes sense because I've been getting lost a bunch. But he's frozen for me.
Okay, I thought I didn't see Margaret move, so I was like, oh, it's probably me.
I didn't see you guys move, but I just thought it was because you're standing still.
Okay.
He's like in a position where he's like lurching forward, so he looks like he's about to say something. But
yeah. So we can go into some other things that I want to talk to you about, Margaret. So you are just talking about some talks between the girls before tribal council. So I think I don't know. I don't know if I'm now in charge or something, but if I see that he is trying to join, I will let him in. But yeah, so we see a scene where Aaron and Peyton are talking, and we haven't seen them the entire episode. It's just been the six saying, "Oh, it needs to be either Aaron or Peyton going back and forth." Then you do the like put your hands in. And, on three, Peyton. Coach Jack. So so we see the scene with Aaron and Peyton, and then we see Peyton come to you, Margaret. So what was did you have an open mind with listening to Peyton, or was it you were kind of just like you kind of had your ears closed because you knew you were going to vote her that tribal?
I definitely had an open mind at that point. I think at that point I was kind of leaning more toward, because like Mario, Ryan, and I had like already had a talk by that point. Like I personally was leaning more toward at that point voting Hunter. That was what I wanted to do. And then we needed to like get the girls on board. But when I talked to Peyton, she wanted to vote out Quinn. And so then at that point, like that's kind of where the debate between like Hunter and Quinn kind of became more like salient at that point. Like, should we try to get everybody kind of on board? So I definitely like had an open mind. Like I was hearing her out. I mean, at that point, like so much was still up in the air. We'd only been playing for like 2 days.
Right. It's too early to like put your foot down for a person.
Yeah.
Which we saw, unfortunately. Well, no, we didn't see because Kirk, how you doing?
Wi-Fi's being a little funny, but I have two different Wi-Fi's running, so I'm just bouncing between the two when it goes out.
Okay.
Where are we at in the conversation?
So I was just talking to Margaret about we were going over where we go back to Waim, and we see Aaron and Peyton talking, and then we see Peyton go to Margaret, and then we see some formulation of an alliance between Margaret, Peyton, Aaron, Ellie, and Hunter. One thing that Peyton said that confused me a bit. I don't know if I just misunderstood it or something, but Margaret, you were saying that Hunter is very sneaky and suspicious and all of that, and then she said, "Yeah, and that's why we should keep him in our alliance." And I thought, like that, is it like he's a snake, but he's my snake sort of scenario, or I was just very confused what Peyton was thinking. In the moment, this is 2 years ago, but like it's one conversation 2 years ago, but like, do you remember exactly what she was trying to tell you?
I don't know exactly what she was trying to say, but I think the underlying message was that she didn't want to get rid of Hunter. So I think the vibe I was getting was that like maybe her and he had been doing the same thing to her than he had been to me, and maybe she was falling for it a bit more. Like, so at the time that was also a little bit of a red flag, like, oh wait, she wants to keep him around. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think yeah. I don't know if she was just like trying to put her foot down more about it or what, but yeah, I found that interesting. Yeah, Kirk, do you want to take over?
Yeah, the way I saw it is kind of the power shifting, and that was interesting how it developed, because we kind of see Peyton as just the absolute bottom of all totem poles. She's the last one picked at the start of the game. She's the last one picked up literally in the challenge. And then the last one, she's not picked up in any alliances, but then Peyton finds information, and with that quirky little personality of hers, she starts making magic. And talk about being dressed to impress at Tribal Council. I was very impressed. I was like, oh, this is like Big Brother. She's dressing up for eviction. Like, I like this. But yeah, I'm a Peyton stan right now. Episode 1, like everybody knows already. Like, I love, and I'm sorry to everybody who's on Chobani. I didn't really focus too much on you guys. Like, I was just feeling Margaret, Mario, Lil Ryan. Sorry, I'm mixing up names still already. I was feeling the Quinn and Hunter thing. I was feeling Peyton. In my dream scenario, these people work together. That's already been shattered. So we go to tribal council. Are we there? We're at tribal, right?
Yeah, the only other conversation of note for me was the conversation between Hunter and Quinn, where Hunter tells you, Quinn, that someone's target might be you. And then you rightfully ask who, and then he says something. He basically just tries to dodge around and say like, "Oh, I'm not sure who told me," and something like that. What were you thinking when he was trying to like dodge around this question?
Like you guys said earlier, he's a snake, but I felt he was kind of my snake a little bit. I felt like, and he ultimately, he knew I was going home, I think, at tribal council, and he didn't vote for me, which is, morally gray, at least, right? But yeah, I think that was the conversation. There was a little, I can give a behind the scenes scene that I didn't film because of there were people not in Survivor in it. But I was actually when I was trying to get, I tried to get people to talk to the people that weren't in our 6-person alliance to try to get another target, right? So that if there was someone voting for me, that there would be 2 other people higher up on the voting list, ideally, rather than me. But I did this at the same time that one of my classmates in my linguistics program wanted to go out to lunch. She was a new student from China, and she didn't have any close friends in the United States yet. And so I was like, yeah, of course, I'll go out to lunch with you. And we went out to lunch, and I felt so awful because tribal council was that night. And I was like texting to try to make sure I was alive and not giving her the attention she deserved, I guess. And I felt a little bad, but I was trying to explain it to her. Like, I'm in this game and it's really exciting and I don't want to go home. And we ate our, food and, took the bus back. And then it ultimately collapsed because, one of the issues with text messages is you don't know that people read them necessarily. So ultimately I tried to get a little group and it just didn't work out. So, I was a little bit worried for myself, but I really wasn't as worried as I should have been, I guess. But
But the thing to say, Quinn, is what makes it riveting is you had all the right instincts. We want to see players that make these moves, that take risks. Like you're like, I'm not a first year. I'm a high school teacher, so when I hear first year, I always forget that it's kind of euphemistic to say the other word nowadays because I use it all the time. I teach 9th grade English, and I'm like,
it's a UVA thing, actually. It's a UVA thing. Yeah,
okay,
specifically. Yeah.
okay.
I don't
Cool.
know. I guess maybe it is euphemistic now at other schools, but it's one of the weird, like, people don't say campus, they say grounds, just kind of.
Oh wow, I'm so out of the loop. This is cool.
Yeah, it's a UVA thing mostly.
Yeah, I was gonna say we still use freshmen. Like
okay.
we have freshmen. We have one thing we do say for this is now getting into like our campus, but I think we say we don't say dorms, we say residence halls. But like that's like the only like kind of unusual thing, but that's really
yeah. I mean, I think at UVA most people would say dorms, but that's also a word people would use. But
we also say dorm, so
okay.
Yeah, like I bet in the official
communication
it's whatever. But yeah, no, the freshman, the first year, third year, whatever thing is it's a UVA specific, at least to my knowledge.
Very cool. I actually researched the etymology of the words freshman, sophomore, junior, senior before I started because I was like, oh, am I ignorant in something? Let me look this up. But it's actually a little bit interesting. If you're an English nerd like me, Quinn, you would probably be intrigued by it being into linguistics.
I think sophomore is an interesting word. Sophomore is a good word.
It is. It really. But okay, that's not the point of this. People will get bored. Okay, it's very interesting. Join Quinn and I as we start a linguistics podcast after this. I want to get to tribal. There's some great things. I already said Peyton was dressed to impress. She must have been at work. I'm thinking I just loved it. I thought that was great. Quinn, I loved your quote. This is forever going to stick with me if I ever come out of retirement and play Survivor again. The first vote is always a mystery. I love that.
Well, yeah, I definitely think the first vote, people just, they don't know what they're doing yet. Everything is such a flux of information. You're really bombarded by new information in the first episode, before the first vote, because there's 8 new faces. Well, even more if you count the other tribe, but not important for this. But there's you have to make a decision between 8 people that you think, who do you think isn't gonna work out for this tribe? And I think that's a hard decision when you've only just started getting to know each other, as opposed to later down the road. I think there's so many Survivor seasons where the first person voted out is just on instinct, or on bias, or on all sorts of things like that. So and then people slip through the cracks who you might not want on your tribe for later on. So yeah, I do think that the first vote's always kind of a mystery. You never know what you're going to get going into it. And, you just don't know who you can trust.
So true. That information that you get from the vote count is collateral in Survivor. And without it, it just made me remember that for players that want to do well, you do have to start off running. Like Quinn, you did. And just because I feel like you were running, but maybe there were just a couple players a couple steps ahead. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like it could have gone a couple of different ways. It seems like Hunter was a potential target. Peyton was a potential target. There were so many other options. Another thing I really liked, another quote that stuck out to me, this is going to sound so weird, but Ellie was so cute. Like, her personality was just absolutely so cute when she said, "I'm never super confident." She smiled, kind of giggled about it, and there was like true joy in that. Like when she said it, like I just felt it, and I'm like, there's like this two-sidedness to it. It's like it at one point it's like, no, we want you to have confidence in yourself, but at the same time, the player in me is like, that's a great thing to say. I think to an extent. I don't know. Trevor, did you?
I think from a viewer standpoint, it's like, oh, she just seems like innocent, or like she doesn't fully understand the game, which is interesting to have on a season where you don't have like 16 or 18, whatever, people that are complete game bots. So it's nice having like a little mix like that. And if I'm a player, I hear that and I say, okay. If you're not confident, feel confident with me and my lines. Just be one of my numbers.
And she's a vegan. I totally right? Isn't it? I totally dig it. Like, I just dig the vibe. Like, vibes don't lie, right, Mario? Like, I dig Ellie's vibe. Like, I would super hang out with her. Ellie, I post vegan recipes on my Instagram, so if you do too, we should follow each other. Little bit of a fan, little bit of a nerd, as you can tell. Another thing that stuck out to me was how super confident Andy was, and that to me was bizarre, Trevor. Like, I was like, why are you so confident? Like.
I have in my notes, Andy is very confident. I'm not entirely sure, because from what we have seen, and obviously we are from an omniscient perspective. From my perspective, Andy is like 4th or 5th in the alliance of 6 that is about to be broken because Quinn is about to be voted out. So I was very surprised about that, what Andy was thinking. Another thing I'm a little curious about, I don't know if Margaret or Quinn know this, but Andy's lower third is Survivor nephew. Do either of you know why that's the case, or anything like that?
His uncle played on Survivor, and I wish I knew the name off of the top of my head, but I'm sure I could figure out pretty quickly, but I don't.
Oh my gosh. Margaret, can you text somebody right now? You heard it here first. People, it is true. Trevor, I thought the same thing, and I wrote it down. And I was like, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to sound like an idiot. This is so cool. So maybe, the instinct, if it's we'll find out which player it is, but maybe there's instinctual, like.
Yeah. I also, it was also, so when I saw it, and they were showing a confessional of Andy, and the way he phrased something What? Oh, Brendan Shapiro. Okay.
Oh my
Okay.
god!
I thought you said Ben Shapiro, and I was like, wait, what?
Okay.
Wow, super cool. Thanks,
Thank you.
Emma and Ryan, for that little tidbit of information.
Yeah.
Wow, how cool!
Uh, yeah, but when he was saying it, he said something along the lines of like he said like these people aren't experienced in Survivor, or like, I guess none of us are. Like the way he said it made it seem like he has some sort of connection either to a college Survivor or Survivor, and I guess it's real Survivor with Brendan Shapiro. Which
Did
is
you all
great.
know that? Did he tell you all?
I was unaware,
Okay, all right,
at least.
fair. For episode 1, okay, we're unaware.
That is interesting, though. I didn't, it's something to choose to reveal or not, But
True.
Yeah, I also think that like he was on, I believe he was on Ghost Island, if I recall correctly. He was I think he was just like a pre-merge boot. He didn't get a ton of airtime, so I feel like it wasn't like my uncle's coach. Like it wasn't like a big name like that, which that would be that'd be a get to get coach's nephew.
if Coach's nephew were on my season, that would be instant first boot, though. Honestly, like that would be. I would say don't tell people that, because I would say get this guy out of here before he goes crazy.
Quinn, I think you're playing too hard, too fast right out of the gate. I think you just gotta slow down. Just slow down one step. We got to keep him around for one round.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably make for good TV, right?
That's true.
Send him to exile.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we could have the whole arc of exile. We just have to bring exile back. Okay. Woo. All right, we're hitting that hour mark. That's usually how long we go. All right, so the end of the vote, we have Quinn receives 7 votes, Peyton receives 2 votes. Hunter and Quinn both voted against Peyton. Hunter, as Quinn said, told us that Hunter was aware of the vote, but still voted with you. That's beautiful and tragic all at the same time in Survivor. I loved your quote at the end. I really did. Because I will admit, I'm a bitter juror. And I love every second of it. You said, "Good luck to you all. I hope you all lose." Beautiful. Beautiful. Any other points to bring up, Trevor? Am I missing any big takeaways from the episode?
I don't think from the episode. We did get a little preview of the next time on.
Oh, that starts soon.
Yeah, which starts very soon. The main things I got from it is both from Shomani, both relating to Shomani, is that we see a lot of scenes of Tommy trying to get to know everyone and potentially helping his standing in the game. He was, I believe, he was the last pick in the draft for Shomani, so it could be interesting there. He also has a relationship with Katie, trying to get numbers against either the larger alliance or Sarah. And the other part of the next time on was I wrote Sarah has a bad sportsmanship, is what that's what I have seen for this upcoming challenge, is that Sarah is not a bad sportsmanship.
Oh, that could be the kiss of death. Well, we'll find out soon in like 15 minutes. So before we go, if any of you want to do a little shout out for your social media or let the viewers know what you're doing in your life right quick, that's fine. Quinn, it was awesome to meet you. We're talking to a black screen right now, but it was cool while we saw you. It's been cool talking with you.
I don't know what's going on with the technology, but that's what happens,
It's all good. So if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they find you?
Oh, you probably won't be able to.
Okay. That's fair enough.
I'm tough to find. I don't have any major accounts, so but You know,
Well,
if they,
I would potentially like to have you back, Quinn. You're
well,
unspoiled.
yeah, absolutely.
I want that to be an open invitation.
If
Genki
you,
can kind of make it happen.
yeah, and Genki's great. So shout out to Genki, awesome dude, super great host. A lot of fun working with him. Yeah, you can. I guess I'm trying to think. I really don't have any big social
You can
media.
hit us up if you want. Hit us up or Genki if you
Well,
want.
yeah. If you want me back, tell Genki, and he can get in touch
make it
with
happen.
me.
We'll just get you different Wi-Fi so we can
Yeah,
see you
yeah.
next time as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if you want to pay for it, be my guest.
All right. I have some free hotspots through my school district. Maybe I can finagle something.
That's nice. That's nice.
Margaret, what's up with I don't know, college? What are you doing? And are you still in college? I don't really know.
Well, you know the terminology now. So I was a first year, but now I'm a third year. And everything's going well still at UVA. Obviously, things are really different. And it's sad that we can't have the in-person Survivor experience this semester that we have in the past and that you guys are watching. But it's still been fun going online. And I'll just shout out the Survivor UVA Instagram. So it's just at Survivor UVA. And so everyone should just follow that and tune into the episode in 17 minutes. So
absolutely check out the Instagram. We have a live viewers group where we try to post little things we find from different websites. Trevor, you want to do a shout out for what you're working on, what you do, and if people want to get a hold of you, how to find you?
Yeah, so I would definitely say just go on YouTube, Survivor CNU. Season 1 is out. Yeah, very, very good season. I'm very happy with it. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, both of them are Survivor_CNU. Yeah, trying to get some editing and some filming of season 2, and then working on season 4 right now. Yeah, that's what's going on here, and just ready for some Survivor UVA in 16 minutes.
I know, so pumped.
I'm excited because you know what? I'm gonna admit it. I didn't watch the full first episode because I hate hearing the sound of my own voice.
Oh, Quinn, everybody hates the sound of their own voice.
I know.
Like,
I couldn't do it. But now I can watch as much as I want. So
good. Okay, fair.
Yeah. Now, that's the advantage of being voted out first, right? More stuff to watch for you.
And if you guys, follow us on Facebook to find more posts about this, or of course, go to their Instagram. I'm Kirk. You can find me at Live Reality Games or Kirk Carlson on Facebook or Instagram. If you like vegan stuff, plants, or adventures, follow me on Instagram. All right. This has been awesome to meet you guys. And Margaret, I know we get to see more of you tonight. Super pumped. We will see you next week.